Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try and give you some change back today. I told Tim I was going to try not to go my normal hour and a half, okay? His normal hour and a half. I'm glad you're here today. First of all, let me just start off by introducing my brother and his wife and sons who are here, Danny and Lisa, and their sons Andrew and Jordan are here from Texas today. So glad you made it. Glad you're here. They're enjoying Donna's food so much, they're going to stay a few more days. So we're glad y'all made it. I really love having him here. I have one brother, and we're the only ones left in our family from us up. And so it is really a treat to be together and have the boys here too. So we're glad to hear, and we also have some other visitors here. We're glad y'all came today and helping out with Mountain Outreach and in the community too. I'm supposed to talk some today about eldership. I asked actually to speak about that, or it's called many things, called shepherding, it's called being an overseer, a presbyter, an elder, an old guy. That's not in the text, but that is a literal translation. And so I want to talk about that because there are a lot of views on that. A lot of you have come from church traditions that are different ones, and so what a church leader or an elder or an overseer is probably has been defined in a number of different ways that might overlap in places, but also may be different in some important ways from what I am. I have agreed that I would be if the congregation here is in agreement with that. So I want to share those with you so you know what I'm signing on for and what I'm asking you to sign on for, because it is a relationship, it's two-way. And so there are some things that I think a shepherd should expect from those who are in the congregation or in the flock or in the group, the family, that they are taking care of. And so I'll share those with you as well, because it is a relationship. To say that, for me, is to say that I'm not interested in being a boss. I don't think an elder is to be a boss. I don't think authority in Scripture means bossy. I think authority means protection. I think you're the person in charge of protecting everyone. And so I'm not interested in being a boss. I'm not interested in being a manager. I don't want to make decisions on when we cut the grass and what color the building walls should be, or whether we use this kind of technology for things or not. I'm not interested in those things myself. There are people who are good at that and who are skilled at that and who are the people really to make those kind of decisions. So as an overseer, I'm not signing on to make those kinds of decisions. Financial decisions are not my decisions for this body. If we're doing something that breaks the law, or if we're getting in debt when we shouldn't be getting in debt, then I'm going to speak up as a member about that. But those are in the hands of other people who are gifted in those ways. And I think to some degree in Scripture, those are called deacons. That's the servants, and they took charge of other matters like that. So those are important, but that's not the role that I'm accepting here. I'm not interested in being a preacher. We have one. We probably have several of you that could do that. But I'm not interested in being up here all the time. Occasionally, when it's appropriate or when there's something that seems important to be said, I'll be asked for permission and would like to share with you from here as a group, because it's easy to do that way. But I'm not looking to be the preacher of the congregation. I'm not interested in a title. I don't like titles. People ask me a lot of times, what do you want to be called? You know, like some kind of announcement, and you're put on there. Do you want to be reverend or pastor or whatever? I said, just put Steve. And so you don't have to put my name on there. I'd rather you not sometimes, especially if any responsibilities are attached to it. I don't have those at all. But Tim. So, I'm not interested in the title. And to be honest, I'm not interested in Sunday. I'm not interested in taking care of what goes on here today. My interests are on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the rest of our lives, the 24/7, around-the-clock life. That is the part in which I think an overseer is to be involved, not in micromanaging what happens here organizationally or content-wise necessarily, although from time to time, I'm sure I will sit with Jordan or with Tim and say, hey, I think the congregation needs this kind of material. Let's talk about it, and they will figure out how to present that and provide that to us. But I'm not interested in being the Sunday manager guy either. So what's left? That's what I want to talk about. It's what would be left after that? First of all, let me read to you from Scripture about a couple of passages that are kind of the primary passages that we look to that describe what an elder or an overseer is to be. One is in 1 Timothy. It says, here's a trustworthy saying, if anyone sets his heart on being an overseer, he desires a noble task. At the end, I want to talk to you about that word desire and task, because we need to understand those what they are biblically and not just what we think they are. Because that is a requirement of an elder, is that they desire a noble task. So we need to know what that is from Timothy's perspective, or Paul's perspective to Timothy. So I'll talk about that at the end, but we'll go on and look at the kind of description of this guy. And as we go through it, I want you to try to hear these words freshly, which is going to be impossible, but try, because you've heard them before, and just kind of get a general feel for this guy. What kind of a man does this guy, what would it feel like to be in this person's presence, to be around them? What do you think as I read these? What would you feel if you were with this kind of a person? So here it is. It says, he must be above reproach, the husband of but one wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not in love with money. He must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him with proper respect. If anyone doesn't know how to manage his own family, how can he take care of God's church? He must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. He must also have a good reputation with outsiders, so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the evil one's trap. Now I'll read the companion to that in Titus. This is in chapter 1, and it's similar, but there are some differences. So it says, an elder must be blameless, the husband of but one wife, a man whose children believe and are not open to the charge of being wild or disobedient. Since an overseer is entrusted with God's work, he must be blameless, not overbearing, not quick-tempered, not given to drunkenness, not violent, not pursuing dishonest gain. Rather, he must be hospitable, one who loves what is good, who is self-controlled, upright, holy, disciplined. He must hold firmly to the trustworthy message as it has been taught, so that he can encourage others by sound doctrine and refute those who oppose it. So some of those phrases are kind of loaded, and we have to kind of know church talk to know what they're talking about. So I'll unpackage a couple of them. When it says he must be the husband of one wife, that's a phrase that means he's faithful to his wife. He's faithful. He's been loyal. He's steady. He's not stepping out on her. More than sexually faithful to his wife, as he's not have immoral activities. But this guy is there for his family. He's there for his wife. He's concerned about her, tries to be considerate of her. He is hers. And so you want a man who's focused in, or at least nobody's perfect in this, and I am the first to bail out on perfection, but who is aiming that direction and trying. So he's faithful, and that's what I would say there. And then the other one, another thing is it says he is temperate, self-control. Those ideas share some meaning. It said the guy is just not a fly off the handle kind of guy. He's not real giddy, and he's not down in the dumps low. He's just level-headed. He just keeps his emotions in control. He can have excitement, he can have sorrow, and he can go both ways on those at the appropriate times. But he's in control during those things as well. And so you don't want a silly guy. You don't want a guy that's goofy. That can have fun. But you want a person that can be sincere, but not always so intensely, so intense that you can't stand being with them, right? You know what I'm talking about? You've been around some folks like that before. So you want somebody who is in control and who is tempered. They're balanced. Let's see. Above reproach. Does that mean without flaw? I don't think so. But there's not something out there that everybody knows that he's just not letting go of. Okay? We know people who are like that. He's addicted to something out there, and everybody knows it, but not going to say anything. Or he's a power-hungry guy, and everybody knows it, but no, we're not going to say anything to it. He's above reproach. There's not something that we all know that everybody's looking the other way on. There's not some big thorn and a big flaw that's out there that everybody knows. So he's above reproach in that way. And talk about managing his family well. I don't think it means here that the children have to be believers. I don't think we can control other people's decisions on faith. And I don't think an elder should control the decisions of the sheep in their faith. But they give direction. They should give direction. And that direction should be given in such a way that those who listen can respect the giving of the direction, whether they decide to follow it or not. And I think the children of an elder should be those who respect, as it says here, they respect their father. They may not do what he says. That's their decision as adults. That's their decision. But that he has given them the right direction, and they respect him for giving it. And I think it's important that they respect the fact that he is living what he's been teaching. Otherwise, how can you respect anybody, right? If they're not living what they're teaching, you can't respect them. So in that way, I think they can have respect for him, even if they disagree. Many times I've been in churches where elders were disqualified because they said, well, they have this daughter who is wild, or they have this son who is... And it does talk about not being wild in here and not being out of control. So I think there's a way in which the children have the father has some responsibility to his children to have given them good direction and kept them, helped them get down the way. I don't know if that's talking about adult children or children who are still at home. To be honest, I'm just not clear on that. I get a feeling that children at home should be under control. Once they get out, they're adults and having their own homes, and so they choose what they will do at that point. So that's where I am on that, I'll be honest with you. Otherwise, this fellow to me seems like a person who you would feel comfortable and safe with. A person that you could respect and say, well, they've lived a while and they did well in the community and they have managed their home well. They themselves are under control. I can trust them with my secrets, and they're not going to be telling everybody what's going on. And yet they're going to listen to me with compassion, and they're temperate. They're not going to go off on me and put me down and beat me up, but they'll be straight with me and tell me when I am going down a dangerous path, because they are that kind of person. And they would know the right paths because they know how to handle the book about the path. And they've handled it in their own family, and they're handling it in their own lives, and so they should be able to present to me some help. So I believe I want you to just ask yourself what kind of feel you have for this person. And my feel for it is a person who is safe, but also wise, that has some experience that they have lived, and they can counsel me and guide me when I have questions or decisions. I also think they need to be bold. I don't think a shepherd needs to be a person who says, well, I can't say anything about this or that. I think a shepherd has to say, I must speak up from time to time. If I see the sheep going down the path where I know the lion is, I have to run out and grab that sheep and say, whoa, no, we can't go down that path because there's a lion over the hill, or the fox is over there. So there's the timid shepherd who sits back and just kind of, well, I can't help it. Don't go over the hill. There they go. So shucks, we lost another one. We've got 99. Let's just go back to them, right? He goes and gets him. So I think there's a boldness with gentleness, a boldness out of love, not a boldness out of I'm the boss, but a boldness out of I care for you, and I sure don't want you to get chewed up out there. So let me help bring you back in here. That's dangerous. And so the shepherd does have a staff, and they nudge and they pull back from danger, and they guide with that staff. They don't use that except against the enemy would they use the staff. So they use the staff in a way that nudges and guides and draws back to safety and keeps the sheep safe. So that's the kind of person we're looking at, and part of the description of the job as I see it. Well, let's see. So shepherds are limited by time and space because we live in these things like everybody else does and can't get to everybody. To me, shepherding is not, how do I put this? Shepherding is a relationship, and I just can't know all of you at the level that I think you need. There are some generic things that can be done that elders should sit down and talk about, and again, try to give generic information and encouragement and paying attention to the general health of the body, spiritual health and family health and all those kind of things. But there's also a way in which sometimes you just need to really, the elder needs to just know a family. Tim and Hope are a family that Donna and I made commitments 5 years ago, or 4 or 5, some years ago, 7 years ago. Wow. Some years ago, we had, I think 4 or 5 couples at the time that we brought into our home that we had known over the years and known some of them since they were teenagers, like Hope. And they knew us. And we made an offer to them and said, we would like to shepherd you. We would like to watch over you and pay attention to you and your family and your marriage and your ministry and all you're doing. And we would like your permission to speak to you if we see danger or we see some way we can encourage you or build you up in any of those areas, your money, your kids, your marriage, your health, your spiritual growth, work, whatever it is. Can we have that permission? And they agreed. Yeah, you can have that permission because they trusted us, they knew us, and they respected us. That to me is a true shepherd relationship, a shepherd-sheep relationship. Can't have that with everyone here. So part of a shepherd's role is to make more shepherds, is to raise up others, to train others. Tim is shepherding us in his ministry through the Word, but he's also working with some individuals. He and Hope are working with individuals and individual couples to raise them up in the same way, watch over them, speak into their lives in the same way. And so part of the shepherd's role is also to work with other men and their wives to help them learn how to invest in other families as well. And so this is part of what I'm signing on to do is to continue working with closely and attentively to families that we've already made agreements with, and perhaps see if we can squeeze in another or so. But I'm also going to be looking to those men and their wives to be coming up and looking out among the rest of you and passing on to you the things that they've been learning from the Lord and what I've been sharing with them. So we're going to continue to grow that way. There's some other men in the congregation who got a little gray hair like me and are on the way to getting it. And I think sometimes, it's intimidating to consider this role. But I would like for those men in the congregation, all of you also, to be thinking about taking on a family or 2 families or 3 or whatever, or individuals as your sheep, as those that you will give focused attention on, and you also will at some point ask them if they would agree to let you speak into their lives when it's needed. It's not an everyday thing, but it's a continual attention that I have for those couples. I pray for those couples on a regular basis, almost every week, and by name and their kids, and if there's any circumstance in their life, and I'm in prayer for that too. And we visit them, we bring them to the house, and Donna feeds them well, and we listen, and we minister, and sometimes we just laugh and talk and have a good time, and sometimes we deal with more serious matters. So shepherding is very relationship oriented. It is not a board meeting kind of position, and I encourage all of us who I think that every man should eventually aspire to be in that position, not necessarily up here, recognized, that kind of thing, so much as I think every man ought to be saying, who is it that I will be mentoring? Who is it that I will be watching out for around me? And then how can I care for them and love them and lead them well? And how can I myself be led by someone to be guided? Because I think we need all of us to be doing this. We all need shepherds and we all need to be sheep, and we just need to be working together. All right, get back to my notes here. That was a ramble for a while. All right, I don't know if that's in the book anywhere about rambling, but we should put it in. All right. So let me just present this to you. Here's so my offer is that I will try to be. I'm offering with Donna as well to be attentive to you. And some of you, I don't know. Oh, I wish I did. You guys who are up here leading the songs and things like that. Oh, I just wish I had time to get to know them. I wish we could sit down and have coffee, have them over the house. I want to know what you're planning to do with your life and what's going on with you and how to draw you near the Lord. And I see that with all you guys. I mean, we've got these big wrestler guys. I don't know you guys. I wish I had time, man. I wish we did. I thought we probably got the strongest church in town. Yeah, we got these guys. I don't know if you guys are wrestlers. I know you You look like youth wrestlers. They got about 5 these brothers back here, and Dad too. I don't know. There's some of the girls who are wrestling and stuff. Devon's got the athletic thing going on there, and even the Thomases. Look here, man. Have you ever shook hands with Jonathan Thomas? He could crush you if he wanted to, man. This is strong. So we got all these athletic, healthy guys, and I think, I just wish I had time to get to know them. I love it. I love it. I love it, but I don't have time for it all. So I want to do that. That is my heart. That is our desire. Donna loves people more than I do. I do get tired. Ask Joji. He and I talked about it. We both kind of, at some point, we were kind of like, we need to go melt somewhere. You know, we just can't. We give, and then we need to melt for a little bit and then come back. But Donna, I don't think she ever melts. She's pretty well go. She loves people and hospitable and welcoming and listens and talks and you know, we'll go into the details with you. I don't. She does. And so we wish we had more time to invest with you, but we've got some years ahead, I hope. Can you do that as a Christian? I don't think so. Take that part out. Okay, no crossing the fingers, right? That's probably not good. So we hope. So we want to invest in you, and the way we'll probably do it is get to know some of you individually as we can, and those of you we've already made some agreements with, we'll continue to honor those, of course. And we're going to encourage you and others in the congregation from time to time to look around and see who they might influence as well, and shepherd, which is just take care of them, watch over them. Here's some examples of how I'm asking you to sign on, okay? And you better buckle your seatbelt on, because I've signed on for a lot here. It's a noble work, but the word is the word for ergon, which means energy. Ergonomics, some of you guys may know what ergonomics is. That's the Greek word ergon. It means strain. It means push. It means work. It's difficult, heavy, pushing kind of stuff. And so it says, a man who desires to be an elder desires noble work, ergon. Pushing. So it's tough. There's a lot that goes on to really fulfill this role in a right way, I think a biblical way. Emotional stress and strain and concern, as well as time and hours that are involved. So I want to encourage you all that, okay, here's the sign on, here's your part, because you have 2 weeks to say, out with him, you know. We don't, no, thank you, I'm off, no, okay. One reason would be because you see something that, in some way, that we are not hitting the mark on this qualification description, okay. Another thing is, I tell you, I think an elder should do everything. He's a leader, but he's a servant leader, okay. That means the heart has to be right. He has to come from the heart of not the heart of I'm the boss, but the heart of I want you to win. I do not want you to fail in life. I want you to have not only just eke across the line, but I want you to come across in first place. I want you to win the prizes on the way. I want your life to be a bountiful, abundant type of life, not just a, well, we survive every day and struggle through it. So how to get you there is part of a shepherd's role, is how to coach you on that. So I'm a leader, but a servant leader. It's a role not of management, but of attention and action. I attend to you, I watch you anyway. It's not in a bad way. I'm not going, what about her, what about him? But I just notice you. I think it's from the Lord. It's a gift, and I appreciate it. But I noticed one morning, one of the students, this was months ago, so probably none of you remember, but one morning a young lady was here, and it was a packed house that day. I guess all the students were back in class, and so it was pretty well packed. And a young lady came and sat down here close to the front. And I was sitting back here talking with someone, and she came in. I noticed she was crying. And she came in and sat down. I didn't know anybody else noticed. Because she was kind of, moving straight ahead, but it just catches my attention, that kind of stuff does. And so I got one of our ladies here and said, can you come with me? This little lady needs some attention, and can you come and help her? And so we got near her, and I said, you okay? Can you talk with this lady? So she may have even gone out the door by then. So we tracked her down and got her and handed her over to one of the ladies. So I'm just going to be attentive. I'm going to be watching you for your good, not to scold you and not to critique you all the time. You don't have to be on pins and needles around me. I want you to be you, but I want to be able to speak into your life. So you have to sign on. You're signing on and say, yeah, Mr. Meeks, if you see something that, not just tears, but if there's something in my life that you have a little red flag on or a caution flag on, yeah, please come talk to me about it. In a loving way, in a kind way, in a gentle way, but come and talk to me about it so that I can know, and maybe I can take care of that. So I want that to sign on. That's what I'm asking for. If I suspicion that in your life there's something that is sinful, I will come and talk to you about that. Not in public. I'm not going to shame you, humiliate you, but I will call you or I'll find you or I'll say, hey, can we get a visit together? Or and don't be afraid if I call you up for coffee because I'm not always, the problem. It could be just, I'd love to get to know you. That's probably what it's going to be. But if I see that there are things in your life or hear that there are things in your life that are not appropriate, I'm going to go talk with you. And guys, I hope you got your seatbelt on, parachute and everything. And here it comes, okay? I'm going to walk up to some of you men in private sometimes, if prompted, and just say, how are you? Are you sexually pure? Are you into pornography? What are you doing with your life? Are you being faithful to your wife? What's going on? Tell me. And I hope you'll be honest with me. Because that's a trap of the devil. I don't want you running off over that cliff. I'm not going to let you walk over that cliff if I can help it. Not because I'm going to scold you, but I can help you. I can give you guidance through that. You can be free from that and bless your wife and bless your kids with that. See, I will be honest with you. I'm being honest now. I'm not ashamed of the gospel. It is good news. And it's good news for that problem as well as all other kinds of problems. Okay? But don't be worried. I'm not going to come and just drag everybody down. So, okay, now you're next. What about you? I'm not going to do that. But if prompted, as I think by the Lord, then I will do that in response to his prompt, okay? Not just my interest, how he's doing. What about that guy? I don't need all that. I got enough drama in my life anyway. So you're signing on to say, sure, if you feel prompted by the Lord that that's appropriate for me and you want to ask me about that and even draw that out in me and you'll help me with it, then yeah, I'll be honest with you when that day comes, okay? Or if that time comes. So that's a big deal that you need to think about. You got 2 weeks to say, no. Okay? In which case, we probably need to talk. That's the sign, right? Okay. All right. I love you, and I want you to win. We need noble men. Oh, man, the country, the kingdom is dying for the lack of noble men. And we can be those men. And we can overcome our hurdles. And they're not as big as we think, nor as painful as we imagine they will be. They do require work, but it's good work. It's good. It's fulfilling work. And we men need to be there, and I want to help the men to get there. I'm not leaving the ladies out, but I feel like my primary abilities are with the guys, so I want to do that. But Donna's there to help you ladies and say, yeah, I know how to deal with a knothead. I've had to for 38 years. I can tell you how to do this. And so she'll coach you through it. Is it 39? 38. 37. 37. See, I am not perfect in more ways than you imagine. So, anyway. But see, she knows how to deal with that stuff, girls. So y'all go talk to her. All right. I'll wind it up here so you get back at least a half hour out of your hour and a half. Really. See, I'm not going to be a preacher, so that you're happy about that now. I'm just going to talk her. If I see how to help you move your relationship with your spouse or with your children to a better place, I want you to sign on that you will listen to me. If there's some way in which I say, I believe your kids, there's some things you can do, it's going to help them, it's going to help you. And then you say, yeah, tell me what it is. And not be said, well, I know this is my kids and I do what I want to do. I won't push you if that's what you're thinking, but I'm saying we have seen some things and used some things and learned some things that really have helped with our kids. Ask them. Ask anybody that knows our kids. They are wonderful, and it is God's gift that he gave others to coach us. And Don and I grew up in alcoholic homes. Our families were not excellent at knowing how to raise kids. I'm not putting them down. I'm saying they didn't get it from their parents, but God has helped us to learn over the years some things that are beneficial, and we want to pass those on to you when we see that we can. And in your marriages, marriage is tough. Marriage is a great challenge. Marriage is the proving ground of your faith. If you are faithful and if you're mature and if you manage your relationship with your wife well, you will manage any relationship well. If you do it according to the ways of God, you will do well with others. And if you wives can manage a relationship with your husband, you can manage other relationships as well. It is the proving ground for our faith. It's where we first apply the ways of Jesus is in the husband-wife relationship. So we want to help you there, because if you win there, if we win there, we win the world. I kid you not. If we win there, we win the world. And so we want to be able to do that. And so if we see something, we'd like to be able to speak into your life. And we're asking you to sign on that. Yeah, that'd be okay. If you do it kind and loving way, then that'd be good. Your money. I'm not going to ask what your bank account is or anything like that, but if we sense we should share with you some principles or some ideas about money, we want to be able to do that too, because that's where your heart is. And Jesus came up with that idea. So we want to make sure that your money is in the right place, so we know your heart is in the right place. We'll talk to you about your health, because the temple, this is what you got to work with, and you want to keep it in the right place. So we want to make sure that you're not putting chemicals and things into it that be inappropriate for your body, for your health. And I don't think we pay much attention to that in America, and yet we should, because I think the Lord is concerned about what He's given us, and we should care for it in a good way. I'm not asking everybody to go out and look like the Cumberland athletes. I mean, that'd be good. I might put y'all in charge of that. In fact, we'll put you in charge of getting us, built up like you guys. And but we do need to be caring for ourselves. Okay, we want to make sure you're not harming your abilities in that way. So I want to be able to speak into those things and do it in a kind and loving way. We want to know you, we want to love you, and we want to guide you, because we want all of us to enjoy the sweet fellowship of Jesus. An elder must, above all those, in the midst of all those qualifications, and I think understood by Paul, is that an elder must have a relationship with God. A living, walking relationship. Not just know the right things, but actually have done them to the point that he now has experienced fellowship with God Himself. And that's an important qualifier, because that's where you all should be going as well. And if a guy hasn't gone there before, how's he going to get you there? We can't leave where we haven't gone. And so it's important for that to be part of it. So my description of an elder is he must have a mature, fruitful relationship with God. He must understand the Scriptures well enough to instruct others. He must be faithful and trustworthy towards others. Have self-control with his money, his habits, and his emotions. He must have proven these traits in his home with his family, among the community of believers, and among non-followers of God. Beneath it all, he must have the right motive, and that would be to look out for your best interest. The biblical term is agape, or love, but that's so loaded anymore we don't even know exactly what we're talking about. So I'm not going to say he must have love at the base. I'm going to say he must have your best interest at the base of his motivations. And that goes back to our initial verse where we opened up. It says, an overseer must be above reproach. That an overseer must desire a noble task. He desires a noble task. Well, the task is work. Ergon, I told you that word. It's hard, pushing, pressing, making sure it happens, get it done, finish the job. He's got to have that kind of energy going within him. But desire the noble task. The word desire, it's the word epithumos, I think is the Greek word. And we get an English word for epithalamus? Epithalamus? It's that part of your brain that's in the middle. What is that called? You PAs will help me on this. What's it called? There's the hypothalamus. There's also the epithalamus. There's that one too. There's I looked it up this morning, so I know it's in there. It's called that. There is a hypothalamus. It's near the interior somewhere in your brain, and it has to do with the seat of your emotions. Okay, it means epithalamus means up on the heart. And so an elder must be a person whose desires, his heart, is to work for the good of the other folks, the good of the others. And that word, that Greek word that's used here for desire, is first used in Greek in Mark. And it's also the word that's used when it says we should have those who desire the things of the flesh And those who desire the things of the Spirit, that word desire is there, it has emotion attached to it. And it's the first time as a Mark when he says, that, but the thorns, some of the seed goes into the thorn area where the desires of life overwhelm it. So it's the desires of life. There's an idea that an elders must desire, must want, must from his core prefer above everything else is choked out by this one thing, is to see that people love God. They win, that they have the right relationships and the right way of living, that they have abundant life. Jesus was that way. His overwhelming, it choked out everything else in his life. His one desire was to see that people followed the ways of God and therefore had this abundant life. And that is my heart. There's nothing that brings me greater joy than to see his people flourish in faith and to prosper and to do well in difficulty and to do well when there's not difficulty. So my heart is to do that work of leading you individually and sometimes collectively down that path. That is my wife's heart as well. We've given our lives to that, and we enjoy it, is the fact. It isn't work. Even though it's draining and taxing sometimes, it isn't like labor. It is like delightful effort. And so we want to do that. We're willing to do that for you. And we are asking you, though, to sign on to let us do it. If you are inclined, don't see a reason otherwise, let us have permission from you to speak to you about those things. And then let us have permission to help some others in here begin to move into that role themselves. And I would just say one way to identify that is just look around. And how many of you older men here already have, can you think who looks to you for spiritual guidance? You men who are here. Does anybody ever turn to you for advice? How do I do this? What about that? Could you help me on? Teach me. It isn't just always Bible teaching, but it's how do I do life? Whether it's help me with my financial needs or help me with my family or help me with my working with my children or whatever it is. If people are already in this group are already looking to you for some of those things, then you're on track to being the shepherd of this flock. Some people are already looking to you. So build on that and be intentional about that by saying, I noticed that we've had time together and you've come to me for this or that or the other. And so my wife and I would like to invest in you in other ways, if that's agreeable to you. That's what we did with you guys and Cliff and Allison and some others who are here. We sat down and said, hey, can we do this? And they said, I guess we got no other options. No, they said, sure. And so we've been trying to be faithful to that, and I'm learning how to do that. So I would, Joji, hypothalamus, epithalamus, give us the lowdown. Is there such a thing? Yes. Is there both of them? Yes. They both exist. Oh, good. So you can believe everything else I said now, right? Because you're about to throw it all out because he doesn't know anything about epi nothing. All right, so I thank you for your attention this morning, and it is a privilege to be asked. Tim asked me to think about this months ago, 8 or 9, I don't know, a long time ago. And I know he thought, the guy's never going to answer me, but I had to think about it. It was a big ask. And so we, a few weeks ago, said, okay, we'll move forward. So that's my presentation. That's what I understand, as best I can present it today, what an elder is biblically and what you're going to get and what we would like to have back so it will work. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay? Now, we will have communion now? Okay, so we're going to have communion. Man, I really wish that we could have done this in our living room. It would have been really full. But I wish we could have done this in our living room, sitting around on couches, and some of you guys crashed it out on the floor or leaning up against the wall or someplace where we were comfortable. It's more like a family, more like a community. I almost said commune. That's probably not good either. Let's go back to this. So it's more like a community, and it's really family because that's the way we do. That's why we think real church takes place. That's where we think real faith takes place. It's kind of in that level. And we enjoy our time here, and it's really good, and there's edification. But, it's Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday is where it comes down to. So if nothing happens otherwise, then I'll also be offering you some tools. I think it's important for us to equip you for life, and so we'll be offering classes or opportunities or gathering times to teach you how to use this book. This is the core. I don't come out of my opinions. I try not to anyway. I certainly aspire to come out of what's true. I believe this is the truth, and it holds the truths for the life that we're all really hoping for, way down deep. And so I want you to know how to use it really well. And I don't go with status quo, because I don't think status quo is a safe place. Okay? We want to go with the deep, ingrained, ancient ways, the ways of Jesus. And so figuring out how to use, it's understanding how to use this is really important, and using it is important. And so we want to encourage you in both of those and equip you with those. Okay? And we'll have lots of lively discussions, and I'm okay with lively discussion. I really am. And we're not going to agree on everything, but we need to talk about everything using this as our guide. And if you'll do that, then we'll do grand. And we'll give God time to work on both of us, okay? So I want to move in to communion. And let me just say that the weekly observance that we have of communion, where we take a little drink of red juice, and we have some bread, some cracker that we have there. It's a symbol to remind us of what Jesus has done for us, his body and his blood. And it's to remind us of the Passover time, that bigger feast, that full meal in which the lamb is slain, and there was wine there from the crushing of the grapes, and then there was bread there that was from the crushing of the grain. And I think that it represents to us a lot about our own lives and about what made Jesus the holy and righteous sacrifice. He was slain like the lamb, innocent but slain. And so there was pain and separation and death there. It was difficult, not something he aspired to in some ways. But there's also the wine, which is it involves crushing and fermentation. Crushing, struggle in life. We have to say no to ourselves in some things. We have to bear with other people sometimes. We have to endure until the end. And that's a crushing, pressured type of existence. And so that's part of what you remember is that, this new life is not going to be just a piece of cake. The new life involves sometimes depressing, that's crushing, sometimes pressing out things that need to go out, and sometimes just bearing up under stresses and strains because we believe what we believe, because we hold to the way. And out of that, then there's time. And over time, this fermentation, there's a transformation. Fermentation is a transformation. Over time, I become something other than I was before. If I bear up under the pressure and give it time. And I'm made something completely different, which has healing abilities, because wine was able to be used for stomach's sake, for healing's sake. So there's an ability there that happens in us spiritually as well. We become wine to the world, we become healing agent to the world, so they can stomach life, if you want to put it that way. And then there's the bread, which is also crushing, grain grown and then crushed and ground, pressed out, refined, and then put in the heat. And in the heat, fire in the scripture is always the presence of God. And so we are ground out, but we live our lives in the presence of God, following his way as best we can. And then we're made into something that gives energy and life, like the bread gives energy and life. And we become energy and little tastes of the real life. And people are drawn to the him who all this is about anyway. So when you're taking the meal today, do remember that these are the things that we're remembering in him and the things that we're being called to in ourselves, so that we might be light and leaven and the wine of the world.